Hi, welcome to the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference YouTube channel. My name is Cindy Smith, and I am the faculty chair for the 2025 conference that we will be having October 16th through the 18th in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Today, we are talking to Ann Gabhart. She is one of our faculty, and I'm very excited to hear what she has to say about the workshop she's going to be leading. And so if Ann could please come to the stage. Welcome, Ann.
Hey,
It's really
good to
great
be
to have
here.
you.
Thank you.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you're hailing from and like what you do, what you like to do for fun?
Well, actually, I live in Anderson County, which is Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. I live out on a farm, so I'm not actually in town, but I've been writing since I was about 10. So I didn't publish until much later, but since then I have published. I think this new book, The Pursuit of Elena Bradford, is actually my 39th published book. So I've been writing for a long time. I enjoy reading, I guess, is my most fun thing to do. And I like to take walks in the woods and fields and see what I can see in nature and take pictures of that and share it on Facebook sometimes. So that's one of my fun things. My dogs sometimes walk with me. So I love dogs.
Oh, I do too. And Greg and Sarah have Sarah, who's our chairman for the not chairman, coordinator for the year. She has two dogs, so I love animals. They're just so much fun.
They
So
are.
congratulations on publishing your 39th book. That's amazing. That is really wonderful. What kind of books do you write? What is your passion with writing?
Well, I started out and I had a couple of books published, historical romances in the general market. Then I wrote 11 books for like sort of coming of age stories for middle readers and young teens. But lately, since 2005, I have been in the inspirational fiction market, and most of my books are inspirational historical fiction. Uh, some I do have three cozy mysteries that I wrote that's also published in the inspirational market. So most of my books are fiction, and I like to feature Kentucky history. I like set most of my books, or if not all of my books, have Kentucky settings and Kentucky backgrounds and Kentucky history. So that's what I'm concentrating on right now.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm a new writer. I just finished my first manuscript. I'm in the process of self-editing it before I get it to a professional editor. And living in Middle Tennessee, I setting part of it. Part of it is set here in Middle Tennessee. So I like that you have things in your home state where you're from, and you can really tell when an author is connected to a location through how they write. So I think that's exciting. What?
I'm definitely a Kentucky writer, right? A Kentucky person,
Yeah.
pretty much a country girl.
Yeah. So I moved a lot. I've moved a lot since, I think since I was 2 years old, I've moved 21 different
Oh my
times. And
goodness.
so living here in Middle Tennessee is the longest I've ever lived in one place. And so I feel like Tennessee has become my home. And I probably feel about Tennessee maybe the way you feel about Kentucky. And I think that's wonderful. I admire that in people when they have that connection with their home state.
Well, actually, my roots, I tell people, go all the way to China here. So I've always
Oh,
been in this particular location. Have moved like a mile down the road, but
oh,
grew up about a mile from here. So I've always been in this spot, and it's what I like. So it's good.
yeah, that's
But
awesome.
if I had moved as many times as you, I would have a lot more locations to use for my books.
Well, I did live when you talked about China. I did live in China for 3 years since my
Oh,
husband and I've been married. So maybe I'll have to add Shanghai into
yeah, there
my
you
book
go.
sometime. So, what advice would you give someone like me who's a new beginning writer? What is some advice you would give me?
Well, I think any writer needs to always remember to read. Sometimes I get busy writing and I have to put off reading certain books because I do a lot of research reading. But I think reading puts those words into your mind, and even though you're not realizing it, you subconsciously begin to see how words are put together and how writers that you really admire are able to tell a story that you might like to write in the same way, even though you have your own style. I think too that don't put all your eggs in one basket, as the old saying goes. Once you finish one book, you want to try to get it out there before readers by publishing it in some way. But start a new book and try to keep practicing. I mean, I wrote 3 books before a book sold, so sometimes you don't sell the first book, but sometimes you do, and that's all writing. Whatever writing you're doing is practice, and you can't be a great basketball player without practice. You can't be a great pianist without practice, so you can't be a good writer without practicing putting words together.
Oh,
So
that's
reading
really
and
good.
writing are what I would suggest.
I like that advice. And I can see, I see when you talked about like you can see other people's how they put words together, and I do find that in some of the authors that I read, I'm like, oh, I like how they phrased that. So I see that's, thank you. That's really good advice.
But you do develop your own style even while you're doing that. I mean, nobody writes exactly the same. They say that there's only so many ideas, but you give one person, or say you have 10 people and you give them the same idea, they will come up with 10 different stories. So
Exactly.
we all put in our own
Yeah,
personalities and background and so forth into whatever we write.
that's true. I am part of a writers group and like a critique group, and usually we were given like a just a little idea that they have in the meetings that we write about. And it's amazing how with 5 different people, we can all have 5 different complete stories for this one little idea that's given.
That's the magic of writing. Everybody's puts their own thoughts into the ideas, which is good.
Yeah. I am really excited. Like, as a new writer and writing fiction, your workshops that you're going to be teaching are fiction is people, creating characters, facts in fiction, using history in your story, and dialogue, the fizz in fiction. So I don't want you to give us too much information about your workshops because we want people to sign up and come to the conference. But do you feel like your teaching style is more instructional, interactive, inspirational, or maybe a combination of any of those?
Shoot, I hope they're all 3, but I don't know. That sounds really good. But I would say they were more interactive. I love it when the people that are in the class say their suggestions or their experience as well. It's always helpful if we have a discussion, especially after maybe I have tried to teach a little. Then I like hearing from the people in the class or the people that are in my workshops to see what they think, and so it's hopefully inspirational and hopefully interactive as well. I like my first one, the characters. I'm very good at bringing characters to life, or so my readers say. And characters are the story. You've got to have. That's what people read fiction for, is the characters. But then I love dialogue. Whenever I'm stuck on a story, if I can get my characters to talking, I love getting the story moving by bringing my characters to life with the dialogue. And of course, the background history is always really good, especially in a historical book. You need that background history, and I like dropping my characters down into a situation in history and then seeing what they might have done if they had been a real person at that time instead
Yeah,
of something I
that's
made up.
I like history too, and so I my first book is not going to have that, but I would like going forward to have some right around some historical fact. Sarah Turnquist, who is the coordinator for this year, she writes a lot of historical fiction, and she may not write about historical figures, but she has the people in her story responding to historical facts.
Well,
Or is
actually, even though you're not writing historical, say you're writing contemporary or whatever you're writing, there are still a lot of facts, lot of things that you thread into a story that you have to maybe research to, or at least think stronger about in your own thoughts to get right in your story and how it affects your characters. So, there's all kinds of facts that you can thread into a story.
That's good advice. That is good advice. So do you feel like one of the three workshops that you're doing, is there one that you would say would be geared towards maybe a more advanced writer or maybe towards a more new writer, or is it regardless of where you are in your writing journey, all three would be helpful, beneficial?
Well, I would hope that it would be beneficial for anybody that might come and listen to my suggestions and advice. Probably a more advanced writer might know more than me, so they might teach me something that in the class. So that's just according to what you're looking for. I have given the character a class a number of times, and usually it is more beginning writers that come to my classes. But then I did one not too long ago in Lexington, and I know I had writers in it that had been published already, and they listened politely, and then gave their thoughts too when we ever had questions and discussion time. So it's a good mix, if a person's willing to share their experience, if there's time to share experiences and so forth, which I always like that part of a class the best, is when they're asking questions and we can go out into different areas that maybe I didn't think about choosing to feature. And usually people that come to classes have questions that maybe I didn't think about or didn't include in my original ideas to talk about. So that always opens up some new ideas and new ways for people to share at the end of a class.
Yeah, I think that's really important. The KCWC was the first writers conference I've ever attended back in 2023. And I did like that aspect, that there was that give and take between the teacher and the instructor and the students, that we could bounce our ideas off of someone who's further down the road than we are and has had experience, and they can, encourage us and point us in the right direction. So I think that's just a huge blessing of writers conferences. I haven't been to others. I've been to one other, but it was on marketing. It wasn't about the craft of writing like that. So, but I do like
that might be a good one to go to, though.
Going to some of these conferences, I often hear the analogy of you feel like you're drinking from a fire hose because it's just so much stuff coming at you. And I think being able to talk about it when you're there, like at the end of a class or in one-on-one sessions, or just at lunch, if you're sitting at the table and your instructor happens to be there, to be able to talk through the thoughts that you're having in response to what you're learning, I think is so it's beyond measure. Like I just lost my word. I had a word and I lost it. But
it
wealth
can be very encouraging to a new writer, or to even not all writers, no matter where they are in their particular writing career. Even after you've written several books, you sometimes have a spot where you need a little extra encouragement or inspiration to continue writing. You begin to think that, maybe this is not what you should be doing, or maybe you're not doing it right. So anytime you can get an encouraging remark or two, or that's always helpful.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I hear about the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference, is it's a very encouraging atmosphere. And I found that to be true. I found that all the attendees, all the instructors, the people who are on the board, who are on the planning team, they want to set you up for success. They want to encourage you. They're like cheerleaders for you. They're not, there wasn't this like competition. I didn't feel like the people were competing with one another to be seen, but we were all encouraging one another. And I just think that that's a beautiful atmosphere. What
It
is your
is, and
favorite?
it's
Oh, I'm
something you
sorry.
see that it is something you see in with Christian writers generally. Anytime you're in a group with Christian authors, they are more apt to be encouraging, uh, to to try to bolster your confidence and be glad for you when you have successes and to
Yeah,
understand when you're not having successes.
exactly. Because we all feel, I think people who write in the Christian realm, whether it's inspirational or his romance or even devotional, we feel this, um, that God is calling us to share his story of redemption with others through whatever, however we write. And so we want to encourage each other in that journey.
Right.
What is your favorite thing about going to a conference?
Meeting other people. I just like to meet people. I like to learn about their backgrounds. I like to learn about who they are and whether they're writers or whatever they're doing. I'm always interested in meeting people and hearing their stories. Uh, Not necessarily their made up stories, but maybe just where they're from, how they got to the writing ideas, about their kids, their dogs, their families, just whatever they want to talk about. I'm always glad to listen to people talk.
That's awesome. And I think um, the Kentucky, the Christian writing atmosphere is a good place to do that. I've made friends that I still keep in contact from the first time I went to the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference, and um, they're people who I can go to and get encouragement and support. So
It can be
yeah,
a safe place to meet new writing friends and to get that encouragement and to advance your idea of writings or your ability to write.
are you in the process of working on a new project?
I just finished a book, sent it in a month or so ago, and just did edits a week or so ago for my editor. Uh, it does have a title already. It's going to be set in the Appalachia again. I've written
Okay.
several Appalachian backgrounds. My recent book was not. It's the Pursuit of Alina Bradford is actually set at a resort area type place where people used to go to take the waters for their health in the 1800s. But I've gone back to Appalachia for this next one, and it's so far is going well. So it won't be out until next May. So takes a while to get a book published. Once you get it written yourself, it takes another little while for the
Yes,
editors and everything to happen on the other end.
exactly, exactly. Well, thank you, Anne, for joining us today. I'm looking forward to your classes because like I said, I'm
Well,
at the
good.
beginning
There'll
of
be
my
somebody
journey. So
there.
yeah, exactly. So, well, thank you so much, and I just hope you have a wonderful day and have an opportunity to get outside and be part of God's nature.
Well, thank you. And thank you for having me. And I look forward to meeting all those promising writers and ad- advanced writers and in between writers and whatever kind of writers that I can meet.
Exactly,
It'll be fun.
exactly. Well, thank you so much.